Hello and welcome back to Onto the Ball. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to like and subscribe. We're going through the Premier League game that we've just witnessed. As you can see by the smile on Trav's face, Fulham 1, Manchester United 2. I'd written a script to slag Man United off in their rebuild and their midfield, and to say that McTominay is your best midfielder and he's the one that you want out. And literally, I've ripped it all up and threw it in the bin.
Mate.
Absolute devastation.
Did I say 2-1 or 1-0? I said 2-1, you know.
Yeah, I think you did.
Yeah.
We'll have to search through the archives. How are you feeling? I can obviously tell by your face. You're absolutely
Buoyant, mate. I can't stop smiling because it was a must-win. So, Garnacho, I said the kid was special, man. I've been saying it all pre-season. You go through my tweets. I've been saying it. This kid needs minutes in the league. And he's finally starting to get those minutes now. And no, honestly, it was an unbelievable way to win the game. Stoppage time kills the game off, but I'm sure we'll go into it. We had a lot of chances in beforehand, before Fulham even equalised, to put the game to bed. It shows today. If there was ever a game that showed we need a centre forward, it was today. Do you know what I mean? With the amount of chances that we missed, but no, to get it in Fergie time, mate, just made it that extra bit sweeter.
But Fulham had chances as well, didn't they?
They did.
I thought this is going to be a bit of a smash and grab for Fulham, but the more the game was going on, I thought it's not going to be a smash and grab. It's going to be a bit like the West Ham game. I thought, are they going to get what they deserve? West Ham didn't, and you've seen the game out. But then Fulham got the equaliser, and they could have had another couple. So it was a bit end to end. Like I say, it was all set up for me to slag Man United off, and now, like I said, it's all in the bin. So
yeah, you can tell like the World Cup's coming at a good time. Forget the injuries, we just look leggy, man. Like towards the back end of games, 60 minutes onwards, we look like we're running through Marmite. Honestly, it's just we look so heavy legged, and we are stretched up top. Not an excuse again, but we are. Like Martial's come back, he only lasted 67 minutes today. You can see the difference he actually makes in terms of our build-up play and the way he links up. And he should have got a goal today. But no, it's massive that we need a reinforcement as up front next season. We massively need a striker. It's so important to us going forward. But it's another game chalked off, another tough away day. You know yourself, you drop points at Fulham, so it's not it's not easy to go there and get the 3. But I'm just relieved more than anything. I mean,
it would have been be relief, hasn't it? With a 93rd minute winner, relief has got to be the word.
We could easily have dropped points today. I said that, like, I know we went 1-0 up and we should have put the game to bed, but after the equalisers, like you said, Fulham were really in the ascendancy. They could have got a couple of goals themselves. De Gea's had to make a couple of good saves, but we've got a makeshift back four now. Like Malasia's left-footed playing right back. We've got Lindelof in there, who's not who's cover for Varane, who looked shaky at times again. Really did. He's very easy to get at physically. And I thought De Gea on some of his crosses as well, like he wasn't very commanding. He's made a couple of good saves, but he wasn't really commanding his box, which unnerved everybody a little bit. But again, like I said, I think Garnacho sort of changed the game and gave us a little bit of a lease of life. We were going a little bit flat with about 15 minutes to go. But when he came on, he certainly changed the game. I'm so happy for him as well, because
he's getting a bit of negative press, isn't he? What's this all about? Like bad attitude? What?
Yeah, like I think he turned up late in pre-season for one of the training sessions or a couple of the training sessions. So Ten Hag's had to fire into him a little bit. But you can see how talented he is. I've been saying, like, you don't be in Argentina's first team if you're not even playing first team football for your club, if you're not a special talent. Do you know what I mean? So you can't, not anyone just gets in the Argentinian squad. So he's obviously a talented player. But you can just tell, like, do you know when you watch someone in the under-23s and you can just tell someone's just got it? Like, he just reminds me of a street baller. Do you know when you're just playing with your mates, like a little bit of 5-0, like on some concrete?
Yeah.
That's what it reminds me of. He just wants to get it and take people on and just twist people up. And that, he just gets you off your seat. He's so exciting. And I think there's a case for him to be starting after the World Cup. Do you know what I mean? He's got to be playing now. Like, but again,
he's not going to the World Cup, is he?
He might have made the squad. I haven't seen Argentina's squad, but he's been in the recent squads and stuff. He has been making it. It wouldn't surprise me if they took him. To be fair, it wouldn't surprise me at all. I know they've got Lachero Martinez. He'll probably go. Messi will go. I'm not sure who else is in their front line, but yeah, I can see Garnacho probably getting in the squad and being like sort of a last minute sub.
Yeah. And he's got that swagger as well, hasn't he? That confidence, that arrogance, and when you seen him come on off the bench, it was almost as if he knew he was going to have an impact on the game. Obviously, he's hoped that's going to be something to do with winning the game, but yeah, he just had that look in his eye. Ob, how are you, mate? Thanks.
How's
it going? You're right, guys. Joining.
Yeah, good, mate. You?
Yeah, good, thank you. Really good.
I thought you might have cancelled after that 93rd minute sucker punch.
Oh, it was a brilliant goal, wasn't it? I mean, he really deserved it. The lad just kept going. I mean, he took a chance on the run, used his pace, backed himself, and just got in. And I thought the keeper should have done a bit better, but fair play to the boy for getting there, 100%.
Do you know what it reminded me of? Can you remember when we were going for the league and you were second on our coattails and we played Fulham away? I think it was you second in the league, and it was one each, and we had to win to stay ahead of. It was either you or it may have been Chelsea. You or Chelsea, I can't remember now. But Ronaldo scored with like 3 minutes left, a deflected goal away at Craven Cottage in the bottom corner, and it was a similar type of goal as that goal. So yeah, like I said, I'm delighted, mate. I really am delighted. It was a big relief. We had chances, but I'm just happy to get the 3 points going into the World Cup on the back of a win, and the United fan base seemed very positive. So
you needed it, didn't you? But the only sucker punch I can remember was Federico Makeda against Aston Villa, and that was 08-09. That was Liverpool. So I don't know if this Fulham one.
You'll have to Google the goal. You'll have to Google the goal. Fulham away. Ronaldo scored. I can remember. He was only young and he had his white boots on and he scored it deflected into the bottom corner. I forgot who was in goal now, but the United bench went mad that day. Gary Neville was a sub, and he was just getting a little bit older that time. But yeah, it was a similar type of goal to that. So yeah, big relief, but positive as well. Like the fans will be buzzing. My Twitter's just blown up. So yeah.
I think he's got away with one a little bit from what I saw in the game. I thought Dan James was causing you all sorts of problems.
He had Martinez on toast. Did you see that in the 88th minute?
Yeah,
I was writing my script for this live stream to slag
Man United. What did I tell you though?
Off.
When Varane don't play, we struggle with pace massively. Do you know what I mean? We struggle with pace massively. Yeah. Like our back four drops another 10, 12 yards because we just can't cope with it. Like Malassi is fairly quick, but I don't think Shaw's like blisteringly quick. He was before he got injured, before he broke his leg, but he hasn't got that kind of pace anymore. I don't think Dallow's fairly quick, but he's not lightning. So Varane's the only one really in our back line who can really shift over 10, 15, 20 yards, and you're not going to outstrip him. Everybody else, you can fancy it, but it doesn't surprise me that Dan James caused people problems because he is lightning quick, and he can do that against most players. So yeah, it did test us, but I know what OB is saying, but at the same time, you go to any away ground in the Premier League, it's never going to be easy. Do you know what I mean? You're never going to go through an away day really comfortable without the opposition having sections of the game where they're on top. So like I said, anyhow today that we got the 3 points was going to be a big relief because at one point I just thought we'd thrown 2 points away. To be fair, I just didn't think the winner was going to come.
I think as well with the World Cup now upon us, it doesn't matter how you get the result. It really doesn't. I mean, it's almost like a boost to the club to just get the result, and then just move on. Because in a month's time, basically the league's going to start again, and it's going to be a complete. Here we go again. These are the cards you've been dealt from the World Cup, whether it be players injured, players taking extended time off because they've won the bloody thing. You just don't know which way it's going to go. You know what I mean? And it's going to really impact the Christmas schedule as well. So it's going to be a case of when the game's up to there. I mean, United have done the business today, ultimately. I mean, whether they were a bit fortunate or not doesn't really matter. It's just you win your game, you take the chances, you find your depth from somewhere, you find a moment within your squad, move on. So fair play.
They were fortunate, Obi. They were fortunate.
United are going to have that game a lot. I'm telling you, that away game today, that script, United are going to have that a lot. And we're not always going to end up winning the game. But because of our lack of goals, we will always have that. Do you know what I mean? Another game where a striker or a centre forward's not scored. Do you know what I mean? It's like Ronaldo is literally the only striker we've got at the club. So it's like Ten Hag is really bleeding this front line as much as he can to get what we can out of it. But everyone's got to chip in. Like I said, Eriksen's chipped in now. He's got a goal. That's his first league goal for us. Garnacho's first league goal for us. And after Christmas, Anthony had hit the ground running in terms of goals. I think he got like 3 and 4 or something like that. So we need him, and we need Rashford's goals to continue, because, like I said, the goals aren't really going to come from any other areas apart from those boys. So they've got to step up until the summer, because we're going to have to go big on a couple of strikers.
So watching the game, not including McTominay, who was your best player, who was your man of the match?
It's a tough one, really. I'd probably say I thought Luke Shaw had a decent game. I thought he was quite good, especially offensively. I thought he did well. There was a couple in the first half. I thought Martial really linked up the play well, and we should have been out of sight. Like, the chances that he was creating, everything that was good for United sort of came through him. So I'd say probably one of those two, but. It was we had to grind, like, in the second half. Like, it was a poor second half, I must say. Like, we weren't the best, and the game went a little bit flat for us. But Garnacho really gave us that spark. So I'd say probably between Luke Shaw and Martial in the first half, and then Garnacho in the second half. I didn't think there was anyone else that really stood out for us.
Is it worrying that McTominay's your best CM when you've just spent 70 million on Casemiro? And then... Obi, I'll head on to you after. Obviously, Liverpool have come in for a lot of criticism in the middle of the park because Henderson and Thiago are early 30s and burnt out. Man United are trying to build their comeback on Eriksen and Casemiro, who are early 30s.
Casemiro,
the truth is like somewhere in the middle, I'm sure.
He'll be like Fernandinho for us, mate. Honestly, he can play till he's like 34, 35. That's me being genuine. He might not play every game in his latter years, but you can see, especially in the first half, what he sort of brings to United. I know Neville mentioned it, but he just brings that ability to just like detect and snuff out danger, similar to what Fabinho does for you when he's on song. And I think since he's come into the side, he has made a real difference. But again, when you've not got a forward line that can capitalise on the fact that he can split a defence with his pass and get the forward line going, we just haven't got the goals in our team to really capitalise on it. I think it's going to still take another 18 months to see the best of Man U. But he'll certainly be part of that foundation, I feel.
Casemiro will be 33, 34 by then.
Yeah, I've been waiting for this 18 months for about 10 years. Well, when's it actually going to happen? What I would say is it looks like you're moving in the right direction. It's too early to say they're back.
We're not
they're
back.
going to be they're going to be in the mix for the title anytime soon. But it looks like your manager has now got a system he wants to play, and you're seeing a more consistent approach to the games. You're seeing teams that look like they know what system they're playing. They know what they're trying to achieve, which is something that, unfortunately, under previous managers, you look like you're a bit flip-flopping between different styles and changing the players and a formation at will, and it looks like he's got a base, and I think that's what I'm getting at, and then move from there. It depends on where we're going to get to, but I think United realistically are moving in the right direction. I just don't know where they're going to go longer term.
It's fickle, isn't it? Obviously, from opposition fans. When I'm watching yous labour to a 1 each and holding on for the point, I'm queuing up thinking Casemiro's early 30s, Eriksen's early 30s, Martinez has just been roasted on toast. You've already got one slow centre-back in Maguire. And the next minute, there's a 93rd minute winner, and it's just the fickle football fan is shut up.
That must have just hurt.
Oh, it killed me. It killed me. Haley, the missus was on the phone on the couch, and it went in. I was like, oh, bastard. Disappeared in here to get the live stream ready, and I was like, I just can't believe it.
Roll back the years, mate. Fergie time at its best. It was beautiful. Just watching it trickling out. It's just limbs everywhere.
It's no coincidence that teams with a lot of players with natural ability are going to find a moment to do that, particularly later on in the game when players are tired. It does happen. That run was so pacey. He had so much about him. He just knew he was going to get there. And it's that individual talent that you buy, you purchase for moments like that. So when people talk about, oh, you got away with one, you got a last minute one, I never really buy into it, because ultimately that's about the squad you've got and the players you've got, and you keep going. Yeah, it is. Yeah. The best teams have always scored late goals, and that's no coincidence.
The thing is, obviously heading into the World Cup, which is Obi's favourite statement, you cannot underestimate the feel-good feeling that will have for Man United grabbing the 3 points heading into the World Cup, because it'll be a long 6 weeks, won't it, Obi? If you didn't pick up the win on this last game, there'd be a bit of a cloud over the club. And Man United, obviously, like you say, your Twitter's blowing up. Man United are going to be absolutely buzzing with that, and it even changes the look of the top six. Obi, I was just looking at it now. We were felt dead close. Now we're 4 points off fifth and 7 points off fourth. However, half the teams have played 15 games, which that feels a little bit unfair.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a strange one. What you've got to remember is this isn't even. We're not even close to being halfway through the season. So it's a case of there's a whole load of reverse fixtures. There's a whole load of remaining fixtures to play, and then there's a whole load of reverse fixtures. That's going to really tell. And it's your big away games are going to be the ones that are really the telling ones. And they're the ones on average you don't get as much from. I mean, Liverpool have had a poor start to the season. I don't think anybody deny that. They're a bit inconsistent. Are we where we want to be? Absolutely not. Are we a million miles away from going, oh, we're not going to get in the top four like a lot of people were talking about a few weeks ago? I still think we'll get top four as we stand. I think there's too many games to go. I think the strength of our squad, the players that we've got available, a January transfer window, I think we'll still be in the top four. I think United will be in there as well. I do.
Ooh, go on
and
then.
I think
Keep going, Obi. Give us your top four then.
I think it's going to be City top, second, United third, Liverpool fourth. There you go.
If you said to me now, the league table can finish like that, would you take it? I would 100% snap your hand off for that.
I think everybody on this podcast would take it right now. I think everybody.
The thought,
you know what?
The thought of not being Champions League next season fills me with dread.
Yeah, absolutely.
The thought of not being top four fills me with dread. Being in that Europa League, it cannot happen. It really is as simple as that.
Yeah. That's what makes today's win even more significant with the results yesterday. Like you said, Liverpool have won a couple on the spin now. Spurs ended up coming back to beat Leeds. City dropped. Arsenal won again. I think only City and Chelsea dropped. Everybody else, Newcastle, I just can't even run out of superlatives for them. They are absolutely on flames, Newcastle. They're unbelievable to watch as well. Keeping clean sheets, scoring plenty of goals, not even got Isak in the side yet. Do you know what I mean? There's more to come from them as well. And you've got to credit Eddie Howe, because at some point he's going to come under real pressure, because they're going to get linked with top European managers who have proven and done it on the big stage with a load of cash. And is he going to be the man that's going to take Newcastle to where they want to be, per se, in 3-5 years' time, which is competing for the highest trophies? And that remains to be seen. But at the moment, he's doing himself every single favour that he could potentially ask of himself. He's doing so well managing that squad. And I think everybody wants to see Newcastle back up there challenging again, because it makes for a healthy league. You probably don't because of the spending power, but I think it's refreshing to see a new face up there.
Just looking in the comments, Luca AFC, big up. Hello, mate. You okay? You must be delighted with Arsenal's win yesterday. What are they clear at the top now? 5 points clear.
5 or 6.
Jesus. Yeah, 5 points clear. Fair play. So Chelsea obviously stumbling now. Do you think their top 4 chances are gone under Potter? Is it all gone wrong for Potter? Has this been a bad appointment? Obviously, this is good for Liverpool, Man U when we're talking top 4, but I'm just looking now, they're in 8th.
What do you think?
Personally, I mean, I don't think he'll survive. I think he'll be under pressure really, really quickly.
Really?
The only thing that saved him, I think, is the World Cup. Because if he'd have gone for another 2-3 games, I think they'd have gone, look, this isn't working out for any of us. Let's cut our losses and go somewhere else. I really do think that. I think they want instant success. I think it was a knee-jerk reaction to go, okay, we're going to bring in Potter because he is the hot English property in the league right now. They've gone, bring him in. Is he an upgrade from Tuchel? Absolutely not. It was a mental decision. I don't know what part of that decision they thought was okay. And
I agree.
And what all that Potter's done since he went to Chelsea, he's got a glow up. It looks a bit better, and he's just started losing football games, and it's like, it's absolute bonkers. It looks like they're just cruising to mid-table, and they do that every so often, Chelsea as well, don't they? They just suddenly have a season where they end up like mid-table, and that's what just happens, and they just rotate the managers again.
Yeah, it's been odd. Yeah, the squad.
I think it flatters to deceive. Like, I've been having these debates in the summer with people about Chelsea's squad and stuff, and I know a couple of my other friends thought that Chelsea have got a really strong squad and Tuchel was underachieving. I didn't necessarily see it that way. Obviously, there's no right or wrong. It's an opinion. But I think in critical areas, it's either aging or there's no one there. Like, they've needed a striker exactly the same as us. I know they've got that Broho who was on loan at Southampton last year, but he's really young. They've had Lukaku, Werner, they're trying Havertz now. You're talking £200 million worth of player that's just not worked.
Where's Aubameyang? Is he injured?
He got benched. Like, he wasn't playing well. He's not turned up again. Like, he had a run of games where he was really poor. He got left out. Kante's injured. The midfield looks like you've got like Jorginho and Kovacic. There's not really much creativity in there. You've got Loftus-Cheek playing wing back.
Suddenly they've got like Conor Gallagher in there.
Yeah.
Although he done really, really well and he's got into the England squad, and that's one of the ones, actually looking back on it, I was a little bit surprised that he was in there and around there, because although he had a good season at Palace last year, I think sometimes it's easy to star in a team that the expectations are mid-table. And I think what's happened with Conor Gallagher is he's gone to Chelsea. He looks okay. He's a good player. He's got a bit about him. But it's a different game when you've got the ball for 60% of the time and you're expected to win and you're expected to play the right pass every single time and you're expected to move. You know what I mean? And it's like, it just looks like the pressure on the Chelsea players is huge. Havertz is not a centre-forward and will never be a centre-forward. And moving him into that position is just ruining a great talent. And it really annoys me. I think I touched on it in a previous one where I don't understand how we can think that that's okay, because Havertz needs a free role. And if that isn't at Chelsea, Chelsea's at the club for him.
Don't let it annoy you, Obi. Enjoy it going wrong. It's good for us.
I do enjoy it, but from a football perspective, Scott, you see these players around and you go, you could use him so much better and we could get to see the best of him, because we all love great football, don't we, ultimately? Although we're fans and we get a little bit like annoyed if other teams are doing particularly well. Ultimately, it's good to see good players and players playing well. And
of course, we're all Miguel Almiron fans, aren't we? I'd like to see good footballers.
What do you two think of Chelsea, like, identity-wise? Like, do you think they'd be best off playing a 3 or a 4?
Well, this is the thing. This is what I'm just about. Yeah, I was just about to ask you both. I'm not. Well, I don't know. He might have. Has Potter lost the dressing room already? Because he keeps flip-flapping between a back 3, a back 4, a back 5, different formations, different players, as you just said, in different positions.
Yeah.
Can you literally lose respect to the dressing room that quick and be like, boss, what is our
identity? Did he have it, though?
What are we doing?
It's not that he's lost it. Did he ever get it?
Yeah.
So were they all Tuchel players? So you talked about Aubameyang coming in. Basically, he was an ex-Tuchel player. And players like that are going to look at this guy and go, I don't know you. I know you've done a decent job at Brighton. And I have got nothing to identify with you. You're not the reason I come to the club, because I'm pretty sure Aubameyang come to that club because of Tuchel. So immediately you've lost one. Havertz, will he have had a good relationship with Tuchel? Absolutely, because he, you know what I mean? He would have developed that. Is he going to be the same player? Absolutely not. And some of the English sides as well look as if they had a real rapport with Tuchel over a period of time. Tuchel won a lot of he won the European Cup, didn't he? So ultimately he won it with that group. That will bind them. And then for him to be unceremoniously dumped and then Potter come in, it smells a bit of the Brian Clough thing at Leeds when Don Revie's team were pushed out right the way back. It just has a sense of that. And then we're not talking about characters that are very strong, but ultimately, I don't think players are going to warm to Potter, especially if they've already got allegiances to Tuchel.
Trav's a bit young for Don Revie and Leeds. I can see his face go blank.
Mate, I think Chelsea haven't got enough negative press over their transfer windows of late, because if that was United or Liverpool, mate, they'd be getting absolutely cooked and crucified for it. Like Ziyech from Ajax, where's he? Do you know what I mean? Pulisic.
Is he still there? Is Ziyech still there?
Yeah,
he left on loan.
Yeah.
Still there?
No, he's still there.
Still there, mate. You've got Pulisic. He was another one who signed because of the Dortmund link to Tuchel when he was there. Again, they've had quite tough injuries, like the Fofana one from Leicester, who I do actually rate. Reece James just means if he's injured, Aspilicueta has to play wing back. He can't run. He's like 40 nearly or whatever he is. Do you know what I mean? I just think they need to just settle on a system. For me, I would go 2 holding midfielders and either Gallagher or Mount in the hole off of Aubameyang, and go 2 wingers and just try and start exciting the fans again. Because if they're going to play wing backs and they've got injuries, and like I said, Aspilicueta, and then you've got Cucurella, who did play wing back at Brighton and did very well, I just think the whole thing just looks imbalanced. If you're going to play wing backs, you need 2 really, really disciplined, good midfielders who can win the ball back. Because when your wing backs go, there's going to be space in wide areas. Those central midfielders need to be able to cover a lot of ground. Now, you've got Jorginho in there. He's not got the biggest engine, and he's getting older. Do you know what I mean? That's why they missed Kante so much, and they were linked with De Jong in the summer, and they didn't get that business. And I think ultimately they're paying the price for a really, really lopsided squad now.
Yeah, and like you say, just to defend Potter a bit, he is obviously missing Reece James and Ben Chilwell, so he hasn't got his 2 first choice wing backs or full backs, whatever formation he's playing. But then, when you talk about the squad they've got, you forget the likes of Mason Mount, Raheem Sterling.
Yeah.
You add them into Kai Havertz, Aubameyang, Pulisic, Ziyech. They've got household names, and that he's just struggling to gel them all together.
Sterling's playing wing backs with that amount of attacking talent.
Yeah.
It's like the England thing, isn't it? When you see Southgate playing the 2 holding midfielders or wing backs, and you've got all this attacking talent, it's too negative. So I think Potter's got to change it, but fast, because like you said, he could be vulnerable. His job could be very vulnerable.
He needs to get another glow up. I watched Match of the Day this morning, and he's looking a bit like Freddie Boswell again.
That is he gone? Was it a short-term glow-up, was it?
I think he just needs another trim down the Turkish barbers.
See, I was thinking to myself, I thought he's looking all right. I might have look and see. Yeah, look and see what he's done, and then just copy it. But there you go, I might not bother now.
OB, Liverpool yesterday. I've got a big claim here. Trav will ridicule me. OB might agree with me.
I don't know if I want to hear this.
Darwin Núñez is better than Erling Haaland, and I would not swap Núñez for Haaland. Serious.
We end the stream.
Wow. Wow.
How have you come to this conclusion?
Núñez can do things that Haaland can't. Núñez can do things that Haaland can't. He He can play different positions. He can come in off the wing, through the centre. He makes things... Basically, my assessment is he makes things happen for himself more than Haaland does. If Kevin De Bruyne is not putting it on a plate for Haaland, 50% of Haaland is ineffective.
Right. I am going to separate this out a little bit and temper it a little bit. I think...
Come on, Obi, clean this up. Clean this up.
A bit of reason.
He's got potential to be a very world-class, versatile attacker because he's got pace, he's got height, and like you say, he eases into other positions quite easily and everything else. At this point in time, he's not Haaland. Haaland is a predator in front of goal, and that's what City have paid for, and that's what City needed. Although what I would say is Haaland seems to have eased off now, and teams have got maybe wise to him, and he's had that initial impact. I think Núñez could go on to be more of a handful, and he's difficult to deal with because he's got that ridiculous pace for someone who's so naturally big. That's a real worry for defenders because you normally have certain types of players, don't you? And you know what they want to do. I don't think a lot of the time Núñez knows what he wants to do. It's so instinctive in what he does that it makes it almost impossible for a defender to deal with him. And I think that's what we saw yesterday. We saw an absolute mixed bag again of brilliant with the odd bizarre touch, but a lot of classy movement. And I think that's what he's got. He's got the movement and he's got the pace and he's got the ability to cause defenders a lot of nightmares. Whether he'll ever be as prolific as Haaland, I don't think he will. But let's go on that journey, Scott. So I understand where you're coming from, but I think we just need to temper it a little bit.
I've got a tendency to get carried away, Obi, and even travel.
I haven't noticed. I've never
noticed.
I
love how Obi just reigns Scotty and it's beautiful.
All right, just quickly before Trav comments, Obi, would you swap him for Haaland?
Wow. So what, as in like right now?
Right now.
I would swap him.
Oh, come on, Scott.
If I wanted
Haaland for anyone.
Yeah, if I wanted an instant impact.
Wouldn't
Impact, yes. I think in 2 years' time it could be an interesting conversation, and I think that's where if Klopp gets into Núñez enough and gets him to develop in the way I think he can get him to develop, I think we could be having a real serious conversation about who's a better player, and I think there'll be a lot of people thinking the other way to what they think currently.
So Obi's not completely laughed it or knocked it out the park, which I like. Trav. Go. Tear it apart.
They're very, very different. Like what you're saying in terms of attributes, like Núñez has the potential to offer more in terms of his whole complete all-round game. That's what I think you mean. But in terms of like Obi's just said, like predatory instinct and that reliable goal scorer. Like, when you look at Haaland's game, it's very simple. Play on the shoulder, slide me and I'll finish. Do you know what I mean? But he does that immaculately in terms of his movement, his timing, the timing of the runs. Looking like he's not really interested in the game and the next minute, bang. Do you know what I mean? That sort of, you can't switch off around him. That's why he's so lethal. And he does it from all different angles. He scores different types of goals as well. With Núñez, he's a lot busier, so he'll run the channels more, he'll drift wide, he's more exciting to watch in that way, he's more unpredictable. And I think from Liverpool fans' perspective, it is quite exciting because if he does become the polished player that he could be, he will be top draw. Do you know what I mean? So like with his touches and stuff, if it sticks and he's more reliable in that sense, I think in a couple of years, he has the potential to be absolutely fantastic. I must admit that. And he's got a lot of stick. But I think it's a little bit too early to say that he's better than Haaland just now. Will he be better than Haaland ever? I don't know. Probably not, because Haaland, you got to put it into perspective as well. Haaland is like a freak. Do you know what I mean? He's like more or less Mbappe level. Like you don't really get many people at his age that sort of level, but I do think Núñez has the potential to be a very, very top player. I do. Yeah. So yeah.
To that end, Obi, I'm just glad we're having this conversation because I don't think we'd have been having this conversation maybe 6 to 8 weeks ago.
Scott, I told you from the start I rated him. I really did. And I said, look, give the lad a chance. Give him a bit of an opportunity. I think we saw enough when he was at Benfica to know that he was a top player. I think what we've seen so far is a guy who's scoring a fair whack of goals. Is he scoring every game? No, not many players do. But interestingly, I saw a fact that said in his last 48 league games or something, he scored, is it 47 goals or something, Scott? It's a ridiculous amount. So he is almost on 1 in 2. But obviously a lot of them are in the Portuguese league, so we've got to temper that a little bit. But I think he's a fantastic player. I think he's refreshing. I also think he's going to get sent off a lot, if I'm being totally candid. I think he's going to do daft things. I think he's going to be the centre of controversy of a lot of the time. I love that. I love someone who's going to be a little bit mad,
a little bit nutty,
and a little bit crazy. Yeah, absolutely. And I do love that. And I love that thought process of I can go and try and do anything because I believe I can do it. Whereas Haaland is very much he's like a robot. And I think you referred to him as RoboCop, Scott. And he's very much he does the same thing. He goes into the same position. He's so big and physically strong. It's difficult for defenders even to stop him, even at that point, because he's 6'5" and he's got pace and he's got great movement, and he'll just sit on the edge, and he's got great service from De Bruyne and Gundogan and all of these boys, Foden, who are providing him with these lovely little passes. I don't think he scored a brilliant goal yet, though. And that shows that the rest of the City team are ticking quite well up until, of course, yesterday. But it shows that they are providing the right type of surface into him. And I think that speaks volumes for them as well as him.
I was dead impressed by the way Brentford dealt with Haaland yesterday. They literally had 3 men kind of zonal marking always around him. And he barely got a sniff, which will give some hope to the rest of the teams on how to set up and how to deal with him. But yeah,
using the taste buds, that one, ain't it? The Nunes, flipping Man U Liverpool at Anfield, Nunes Martinez. That's going to be some battle, ain't it? The little South American battle. That's going to be quality, like you said.
Yeah, well,
seems to be mad happening in that game, like blood and thunder. Everybody really riled up. So I'm even looking forward to that game. Now, when is that fixture? Is it March?
I think it's March.
Normally March, yeah. It's normally March. I think as well with the whole thing around Man City is I think they're not quite where they were last season, if I'm being totally candid. And I think that they are providing a lot more balls into Haaland, but they're not playing the same type of football. They're almost looking for Haaland as opposed to other players, and I think it's at the detriment of the team a little bit. So they've almost bought into the Haaland hype, and now they're just looking for him, even if there's better options open at other points in the game. So that's interesting to see how Pep makes sure that he's still servicing his main man, and also then tempers that with, but the decision needs to be yours, and you need to put doubt into the defender's mind, and you need to play different balls at certain points, and it's not all about Haaland. And it would be interesting to see as well how Haaland then reacts to that.
I've got to admit, I'm a little bit worried. I said it in the last stream or 2 streams ago. If De Bruyne and Haaland get injured, I can honestly see Arsenal winning the league if they miss 4, 5, 6 games.
Easily. Like, I know people don't want to believe it about Arsenal, but literally, there's no sign of them letting up. Do you know what I mean? Like you said, Jesus isn't scoring goals, and they're probably the team that's just winning games comfortably. They've had a couple of scary games away at Leeds where they probably should have dropped points. They dropped points at Southampton, and they've had a couple of close games like at home to Fulham and stuff. They beat you by a goal, but they keep getting over the line. Do you know what I mean? Like, and it's, you know, when the fixtures come out at the weekend, there's not many teams in the league where you think that's a definite win. But for some reason, with Arsenal, with most of their fixtures, I just think that they're going to win this game. I've said that more often than not with Arsenal, and that's quite worrying for the rest of the team.
I'm gonna take that point difference they've got ahead of City, and I'm gonna ruin it by saying I could see 2 games where that doesn't matter anymore. And I'm gonna say Liverpool away and City away. Arsenal will lose both them games before the end of the season.
Yeah.
I just don't think they'll cope. And then immediately, and in somewhere in Arteta's mind, you'll be thinking, if I could get something out of one of them games, even if it's a point, that gives me something. The pressure's on Arsenal. Don't let the league table fool you. They've still got a lot of big away games, and they've got to go to a lot of places. And although they will play some good football, they need to go away and get something. I thought they done brilliantly against Chelsea away. I thought they were fantastic. I thought they played well against Man United away. When these boys are in the business end of the season, and the big boys, and we're talking Liverpool and City, and even like to Newcastle, they're going to be difficult places for Arsenal to go and manage through games, and that's going to be absolutely key. And if they lose 2 or 3 games in the trot and then go away and aren't organised at another game, that league's gone. It's gone, and I can't see City not winning the league still.
Promise me Arsenal are going to fall away, Obi. Promise me.
I promise you. I'll give you it. I'll give you it for free. Arsenal will fall away. They might sneak second, like I said before, just simply because of the points difference between them and Man United and Liverpool. But I can't see Arsenal winning the league. I cannot. And I think there'll be a run of games where they'll start losing. It's a lot of them players are the same players who fell apart last season, and I don't understand what's changed.
Thank you.
I think they are a little bit different Arsenal. I do. Like I said, they might not win the league. They might not. But I do think there is a little bit more of a steel and a bit more of a resilience to them. I think Saliba coming into that back line has been huge for them. I think the performances of everybody around them when Saliba plays, everybody just looks so calm and composed when he plays. I think with Ben White, they've sort of stumbled across the Ben White thing at right back. Do you know what I mean? Tomiyasu was injured at the start of the season. Cedric wasn't good enough, and they just thought, all right, Saliba's back. How can I integrate Ben White as a big signing? Because Saliba had to play, and Gabriel was sort of playing well with Saliba. So they just said, right, well, let's put Ben White at right back and see how he does. And he surprised everyone, I think, that he's done so well at right back. So they've stumbled across that one. But I just think with that unit, Ramsdale, excellent goalkeeper with his distribution. Thomas Partey's so key. And like you said, injuries are going to be key for them. If Thomas Partey gets injured for a number of games, they could become unstuck in a few games, because I think he's so important to the way they play, and he allows everybody else to express themselves. So yeah, I think Obi's right in the fact that over the years, they've come up short at key moments. But I don't think there's been anything to suggest so far this season that they couldn't go to Anfield and not lose that game. I don't think that's a shoo-in. Like Man City, if they turn up at home, they can batter anyone at home. And the same with you when you're on top form, to be fair. But I don't think personally it's guaranteed that Arsenal go to Anfield and definitely not win that game. I think depends, like you said, if they play like they did against Chelsea, there'll be a match for you. Definitely. I think that I'm looking forward to that game. I think that'll be a really, really interesting game. And it depends what sort of form you're in as well. Because if you play like you did against Tottenham and the likes of Man City at home, you can batter anyone on your day as well. So I just think it's all up in the air. It's all open. I think they're performing well to be 5 points clear at this stage of the season. But like you said, it's not halfway through the season yet. So we'll see.
I think there's 3 things that are certain in life: death, taxes, and Arsenal falling away at the end of the season. So, and you can quote me on that.
Do you know what? Do you know what? We're making too much material that's going to end up jinxing it, and Arsenal are going to win the league. I think we've just got to stop saying things, because it's jinxing it. And it's evidence. Evidence that's been recorded that's going to come back and bite us. No, but I'm with Trav. When I look at the fixtures, and you know, when you're doing last man standing or try to put on a footy coupon, I agree. Arsenal are the banker. Every week I look at, I think they'll win that. And I don't say that about City. I think, they could drop there, they could drop there. I mean, what does that tell you for what you're thinking of Arsenal is that, yeah, they are the team. And they're rightfully at the top of the league by 5 points.
Yeah, they are rightfully there. Absolutely. There's no arguing with that.
But yeah, on to the Liverpool Bowl. Obi, did you watch? You didn't watch it, did you, Trav? Did you see Match of the Day?
No,
Liverpool, Southampton.
I've just seen the highlights.
I watched like extended highlights today. I thought Liverpool were good again. They did what they had to do. Very much the same as Man United. Won the football game, and it was always about winning the football game.
We could have easily lost it though. Alisson made a hat-trick of saves in that second half that were like world-class saves. And when I watched it back on Match of the Day, I thought, Jesus Christ, I don't want to say this to Trav, but we were lucky.
I don't know if we're lucky or whether we've just got a brilliant goalkeeper and that's part of your team. You know what I mean? Ultimately, he has always been up there with, when we talk about our greatest assets, it's normally Alisson, Van Dijk, Salah, isn't it? And they're the ones that have been the constants over the past sort of 5 years, and they're the ones that you think they are the main Liverpool players. Obviously, there's other players who play major parts, but they're the three that we kind of always looked at from a signing perspective that changed the club. Alisson is the best goalkeeper in the world, and there's no doubt in my mind about that. And I'm talking about all-round the best goalkeeper. I think he's got the best distribution. He's the best shot stopper. He reads the game so well, and I think he gets the tempo right in the game, and he controls the pace of the game from his passing, his movement. He's always available. Just absolutely fantastic. I think he's a massive asset to Brazil going into the World Cup as well. And ultimately, we paid for that. We invested in that for Alisson. And I know he's got no right to make them saves, but when he does, it doesn't even surprise me anymore, Scott. Because it's like our team almost know that they've got that behind them. And that's created confidence over time. But even when we've been not doing so well, as in this season, he's been making them saves, and there's quite a few games where he's been man of the match.
Yeah, if he keeps this up, he could be our player of the season. Really good. Just jumping in the comments, Coach's Corner, Hanno. Yes, lads, how you doing, mate? You've missed us slagging off Chelsea and Potter, just saying that he could even be at risk of losing his job this early in the season, this early in his Chelsea career. And Obi said that the World Cup might have saved him. If he had another couple of losses in the next couple of games, he could be at risk. Do you agree with that? Let us know in the comments.
I also said I was jealous of his glow up, so there you go. Let's get a balance there.
Obi is going to the Turkish barbers straight after this live stream. So
I think even they'd send me away, Scott.
Yes. Fabinho, Obi. I keep saying it to myself for a couple of games now. He's slowly playing his way back into form. I thought he was brilliant yesterday, and it's such a relief that he's not this washed up, written off 29-year-old.
Do you think he was carrying an injury? So that's my latest theory. He's got to have been, because a player can't go from being that good to being that bad and then suddenly recreate form again. He looked slow. He looked tentative. He looked like he wasn't really steady on his feet. He looked off the pace. All of that signals to he somehow carried on through an injury that they've said, you will run this off in time, and he's been managed it through. And I know a lot of these players carry injuries at parts of the season and they keep playing and we never hear about it. But I suspect there was something wrong with him, because he's a different player the last couple of games, and he looks like he's back to himself. It looks like he's got more pace about him. It looks like his touch is better. It looks like he's in control of what he's doing. It looks like his head is in a better place as well. And it's got to be an injury, Scott.
Well, that's what I was just saying when you talk about his head being in a better place. Don't forget there was them rumours that him and Klopp had fell out, and Klopp was berating him during the second half of the 3-3 draw with Brighton, was it? And apparently that's not the first time that he's been going mad at him on the touchline. You think, that it could literally be as simple as that. If you fell out with a manager, you're not going to be trying as hard. Maybe they've made up. Maybe it's all rosy again, the relationship. He trusts him again, and obviously Klopp trusts him as a player. But he seems to have turned the corner, and I'm so glad, because
he's so important for the way.
Yeah, I was writing him off, as I think a few of us were.
Yeah, I think it was important Liverpool went back to type and went back to that basics, that 4-3-3, and knew that was what Klopp had to do to start getting results again. I think a couple of players coming back from injury, like Konate, although he didn't play yesterday, I think Gomez started over him, because he'll want to manage Konate because he's so important. And with Fabinho coming back to form, it's only going to improve the way that you're going to play, because he's so important. You probably have the most offensive fullbacks in the league over the past 2 years. Do you know what I mean? It's so important to the way Liverpool play, the fullback. So he is the person that protects in those fullback areas when they go forward, and he's been pivotal in terms of the license that it gives you. So him coming back to form is massive for Liverpool. I think after the World Cup, you're only going to get stronger, to be fair. I think the win at Tottenham was a huge result. It really sort of derailed them in terms of their push for second place. Them beating Southampton at home, pretty comfortable in the end. Obviously, they would have had chances. But when you're talking about comfortable in this league, I just don't think there is a comfortable game anymore now. Like, even score lines don't really flatter teams anymore. You look at a scoreline and you think 3-1, that's as comfortable as it's going to be. There isn't any teams in the league that are going to go away from home even and not get any chances on goal. So I think anyhow you can get the 3 points at this stage of the season is important.
It's bizarre though, isn't it? Because this is the same Liverpool team that aren't in form after 15 games. They're not where they should be. They're not firing on all cylinders. Yet within that 15 games, they beat Bournemouth 9-0. And that's like a Premier League equaling record score. And it's like, that's a big, massive win. That's a huge win, and it's like, but it's so weird that then Bournemouth in the past week have beat Everton twice, 7-1 in the 2 games combined. And I just don't understand it. I don't understand why there seems to be a lot of inconsistency within even the teams in the low end of Premier League. It's bizarre what's happening at clubs like West Ham. Palace are on it one day and off it the next. And it's like, it's so strange to watch. Even Brentford, they've had games where they look well off it, and then other games where they've beat both the Manchester clubs already this season. And it's like,
and then they've lost to Leeds and Villa like heavily.
Exactly.
Crazy,
exactly.
Isn't it?
Yeah. And I think a lot of it is the tactics that the managers have got, and I think that what we'll see at the end of the season is the tacticians probably doing slightly better, because I think there's a lot of really even teams in this league, and there's not an awful lot in it with the players. There's a few star players in each team, and obviously there's more of them in the teams that spend more money. But it does feel like there's almost like anybody could beat anybody on any given day, and that makes it really exciting, and it does make it good, and it'll make it interesting for the rest of the season if it continues the same after the World Cup.
What we do know is it's going to change every couple of weeks, because I can remember us being on the show a couple of weeks ago, and Liverpool weren't even in the conversation in terms of top 4, and it was all doom and gloom. All of a sudden, before the Fulham game, you're a point behind United. Do you know what I mean? It just goes to show how quickly it can change, and it's going to change a lot more before now and the end of the season. I think underneath the top 2, however they finish, I think it's up for grabs. I really do. I don't think Newcastle, as well as they're playing, are even guaranteed a top 4 place. I think if Chelsea continue the way they are, they're going to struggle more than anybody. But I think between Liverpool, Spurs, Man United, Newcastle, there's 2 spaces between those 4 teams that are more than up for grabs, and it could go to any of the 2, to be fair, because Spurs aren't really playing well, but they just keep managing to get over the line and get results as well, which makes them quite dangerous. So, like you said, it's all going to be interesting to see how things go after the World Cup.
I don't want to steal Obi's catchphrase, but the World Cup is going to change everything. Do you think teams have been playing at a slightly higher tempo and higher pace and energy, knowing, right, we're going to put in more than usual because we've got this 6-week break, and there might only be 20% of their squad are going away to the World Cup, so they're going to get that rest to recharge. Do you think that's had an effect on the league so far after 14, 15 games?
Possibly. It depends who you are as well. It's really interesting, like from a Liverpool perspective, for instance, I only think 3 of our players are going to start for the countries, and they are Alisson, Núñez and Van Dijk. And I don't think any of the rest of them will be. They might play bit parts in certain games. And surely that's going to have a positive impact. And I know the rest of the squad that weren't picked, there's reports that are going off to Dubai. And that is literally, and I know I'm nicking Scott's catchphrase now, but this is reset time.
Stop nicking each other's catchphrases, boys.
Yeah. It's literally like reset, pre-season, start again. with a little bit of an outcome after the World Cup, and it might be that the clubs are setting it up that way to go. Okay, we know that some players are going to come back. We might even give them extra time afterwards to recover if they've been on the business end of the World Cup. I don't know, other than Allison, if any of the other two teams will be on the business end. So that could be an advantage. But there is a lot of teams, and particularly like Arsenal and City, where they'll have a lot of players in the back end of the World Cup. And then how do they manage that? How do they manage that when they come back? Especially if they've lost a big semi-final or a final. And it's like, that's tough to take. It's not going to be just a case of, okay, now boys, here we go.
Yeah, back to your club. I'm mentally fine.
Yeah, here's the Christmas fixtures. You know what I mean? It's going to be tough for them.
Do you think it's worse sometimes if the players are playing or aren't playing? I mean, I think there's pros and cons to both sides of the argument, really. Because, I mean, if you look at, for example, Harry Maguire, everyone's fearing that he's going to be starting for England and he's not had any football. So he's very out of match rhythm. Then you've got the players who are going to travel to the World Cup. You've got the travelling aspect of things. But then you've got the players who are staying with their squads, who are on, like, these camps and stuff, but they're not going to be getting any match fitness. So it could be the other way. It could be the players that haven't played much football who are going to come straight back into Premier League football and are expected to hit the ground running. It might have been the ones that have been playing at the World Cup who can continue playing. Because if the World Cup wasn't on, we'd just be having 6 weeks of Premier League football. So you just expect them and you just rotate the squad as normal. So I'm probably a little bit more dubious about the players who aren't going to get those match rhythms, like your Sancho, and the disappointment of missing out on the World Cup and then having to come straight back into the league football. I think that it's going to be very interesting to see how people react. But like you said, you've got the injuries and the travelling and going to Qatar and adjusting to the time zone and stuff. So it is going to be one big concoction, a mess that teams are going to be walking into. So yeah, I'm not looking forward to it at all when we come back. We've got Forest on Boxing Day, and I bet you that first game back, you're going to see some mad results. Yeah. Wow.
I think it'll be some mad team selections as well. I hope there's none of this. Yeah. He was late coming back. He's a bit jet lagged. He's not up to speed. Do you know what I mean? I can't be bothered with all that. You just want to be straight back into it.
Either. I think Varane, if he's fit, De Gea's not going. Shaw will play for England, and Dallo will probably play for Portugal, and Casemiro. So you got them five. But apart from that, I don't think anyone else. Maybe Eriksen, actually. Yeah.
Ronaldo.
Yeah, Ronaldo. But I don't class him as United first team player. I should do.
OB, he was the GOAT only about 6 weeks ago, and now he's not even in the resis.
Can you remember, like, the fanfare when he arrived? It was like the second coming of our Lord Jesus Christ, and now it's like, he's not a first team player. What is going on there?
I don't know. I might have disrespected the GOAT, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do. You got to be ruthless, mate.
He's going to the World Cup just to get some minutes.
What about Arsenal? They got a lot of players who will play.
They've got a lot of players going. Partey will start for Ghana, and Saliba will probably.
I think Saliba will, won't he? He's played the last 5 France games, I'm sure I've seen.
Yeah.
So he must be a star.
I'm sure about Ben White, whether he'll play, because Maguire is going to play, so it's if he plays right back. But I can see Trippier and Shaw or Walker or something like that probably being ahead of him.
Jesus won't play for Brazil, will he?
He won't start.
He won't start, but he'll probably come on, won't he? What about Saka will play, won't he?
Yeah, Saka will play. Martinelli's travelling, but he probably won't play either.
What about Odegaard? Are Denmark in it?
Yeah, Norwegian. They didn't make it.
Oh, he's Norwegian.
Yeah, they didn't make it. No. But yeah, who plays next to Partey in midfield? They've got that
Xhaka.
Yeah, he'll play for the Swiss as well. So yeah, they've got quite a few players playing. Ramsdale probably won't play, but they'll have a lot involved as well. So yeah, Man City, they'll be flooded with players playing. Like you said, if your boys aren't playing much, that might be the difference and a bit of an advantage for you going into the back end of the season. It could prove quite pivotal for you.
That's what I'm banking on, Trav.
Yeah, let's hope
You got
so.
to, you got to know, you got to. Like you said, it's not an unrealistic thing. It's not. It's very realistic. You might have some fresh boys going into that back end of the season, mate. Because, like you said, we're gonna have players playing. Arsenal are. Newcastle probably won't have a lot of players playing, like Callum Wilson travelling. But yeah, they'll have a lot of players rested as well. So if you and Newcastle finish the season strongly, it's not going to be a coincidence. You will have nailed it.
Trav, you're obviously going to go and have a date night tonight, be all nice and happy. Your missus is going to be spoiled rotten. With
I'm
the
a
3
celebrity
points.
binge watch because I've not been watching it, so I've got to start it from the beginning on iPlayer. I'm going to rinse about a good 6-7 episodes until I drop to sleep. That's my evening, mate.
Fair play. Right, I don't know when we're going to stream again because it's the World Cup now.
I think we probably should get one in before with a little bit of England preview. And
should we see about doing a half an hour one about England and their progress and what's happening and how our clubs respected players are doing in the World Cup? I'm sure there'll be some bits.
And get some proper predictions in what we think is actually going to happen. So we can get a wall chart.
Should we get a wall chart?
Get the wall charts
out.
I'm going to do a little bit of a squad dissection. Have a look at the squad. They're all in now.
Both my boys have got the Panini books as well, so they're sticking away.
Have they?
Yeah, we've got proper old school, right and all. You've got to be done, even if it is.
How much is a pack of stickers now, Ovi?
I don't know.
£19, isn't it?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. I have no idea. I bought the books and then some stickers come with them and then that's it. After that, I'm not buying anymore. They can buy them themselves.
Nice one. Right, lads. Great weekend of ball. Win for Liverpool. Win for Man United. We're all happy. Top four's back on for both clubs. And then we're probably going to push on and win the league OB after the World Cup. So watch this space. Enjoy the World Cup. And we'll be back. If you're still watching and you're new to the channel, don't forget to give a like and subscribe. We really appreciate it. Lads, we'll work out a stream at some point towards the end of the week, I think. I say, a little pre-World Cup. Crouchy saves the World Cup or something. What was his dead ITV show? Should we do something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
Let's not do anything like that. Let's do something good.
Yeah, something like that. Right, nice one. Cheers, lads.
Cheers, boys.
See you in the group chat.